And what about the topic of sort of loneliness? Because again, there's a sort of epidemic really of loneliness. What psychological impact does that have? And again, to what extent does it vary from person to person?
Well, we know that loneliness, like you say, that there is a lot of loneliness about, particularly perhaps in older adults, but really across the age span, and it can be incredibly distressing for people. To be outside of community, to not be in connection with others, to not have those relationships with others, and it's not just sadness that it can bring out. We know that people, on average, not always, but on average, tend to be happiest when they're around other people. But kind of lack of social contact and good relationships is associated with high levels of anxiety, and a whole range of kind of problems, because you don't have somebody around you to bounce ideas off. You don't have that kind of validation that we get from other people. So, and again, it varies very much. Some people can thrive on their own, no doubt, but generally, on average, we do seem, we're social beings, and being isolated and cut off. And of course, being lonely doesn't mean that you don't have people that you call friends, and it doesn't mean that you don't have contact with others. But I think the most difficult loneliness is often not feeling that there's people you can really share who you are with, and that there's a lot about yourself that just nobody in the world knows. And that can be, stressful to carry that all around and feel that you have to hold that in all the time. So it's kind of psychological loneliness, really. Something I work with people who, they might have friends, they might go to the pub, they might see people, but they can still feel very, very lonely, really very fundamentally, painfully alone.
Is that something that's almost I don't know if innate's the right word, but it's something that's pre-existing, or is something that is very difficult to, it isn't something we acquire through experience? Is it something that can sometimes just be there already?
There's a lot of research now that suggests that we come into the world with both an ability and a desire to connect with others. So if you look at babies, really young babies, if they see a shape that is like a human face, they'll be more interested in it than a similar shape, but kind of maybe turned upside down so it doesn't look like a face. Voices that they're very quickly tuned to, they're very able to have a very kind of backwards and forwards conversation even before they can say words. They get that kind of rhythm. So I think there is good evidence now that we are kind of coming to the world as social beings, and that that is part of our nature, is to be in relation with others. You see that in a lot of species that are similar to kind of human beings, that they don't. I mean, some do, but mostly they don't just exist very much in isolation. It's an unnatural state just for someone to be on their own. And in our culture, sometimes we kind of emphasize individualism and the individual, and we focus very much on the individual. But that's not necessarily what's most healthy for us. And other cultures, say Eastern cultures, tend to focus more on the community and relationship. And I think most people realize that how important community and relationship is because of who we are as people.
Thanks for watching that clip. You can watch the full episode right here. But until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again for another one very soon.